Hey, here we are again, Annabelle and Sarah.
Hello, we are going to chat today about a few things that's going on the planet, but also how to help you to keep your vibration up, to
Mm,
get into that fifth dimensional mindset that is so much better for us, more peaceful, and we need to do it. Sorry, I'm just got distracted because somebody just snuck in behind you. We had
we
to
could
start
see
over.
you!
I was like, is that the cat? What is that that's
It's
happening
a very
there?
big
Oh my
head for
gosh.
a cat. No, sometimes
Is that an arm or a tail?
we've just been talking about your dog upstaging you sometimes, so now I'm being upstaged as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Usually it's just your cat that does it.
Yeah. Ups and downs this week, I think, in how strong the argument is getting. People seem to be so determined that they know what's going on. And they don't, and neither do we. There's so much going on behind the scenes that none of us know about, and will we ever know about it? Who knows?
My little investigation that triggered me into going, we just have to stop. We've got to get past this stuff. Was Twitter? Somebody retweeted or something that a video. There's two of them. One is I think some sort of people holding Trump signs, or you couldn't really tell in the video, but maybe they had some biblical quotes up there. This woman, it's at a college, comes over and just puts her stuff down and starts screaming. And coming toward them and getting chalk out and crawling on the world and just screaming. And a person comes over and says, "Are you okay?" She goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." She goes, "Oh, I just thought maybe something was happening to you." She goes, "No, I'm fine."
Do you
And it
think she
just
just
went,
wants to be on a viral video? Do you think?
the people who were just screaming when Trump got elected, that's what I figured it was. So there's that. And I read the comments on the original thing. It was like, yeah, that's what Trump drives us to. I was like, huh. The other one I saw was the exact opposite. I don't know what the signs the people were carrying, but this guy comes, parks his car across the street, charges over to him, starts going, "You goddamn Democrats, you're the ruining the world." I'm like, okay, nice to talk to you. And he just went on and on and on about you damn Democrats. And some of the responses were, "What do you think? Is he right?" And the people are going, "Yeah, absolutely. I'm with him. Well done, sir."
What?
And I was just like, hello, divide and conquer.
Absolutely.
Don't. Only I spelled it wrong on Twitter. It was CONCUR, and it corrected it for me. Autocorrect, and I didn't catch it. So divide and conquer. I'm like, oh, crap.
Concur.
Yeah, no. That doesn't work. Conquer. Damn autocorrect.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's why I was thinking, how do we get out of that? How do we not let the intensity, because the polarity is getting off the charts?
Yeah. So it's how does it come
Techniques.
about? It's got stirred up by the media, mainstream as well as social, uh, with all their campaigns, but also everybody talking and taking sides. They come to a conclusion and they think they know, and so then they fight for one side, and then the other person will put up resistance, of course, because the minute you start punching, then somebody's going to resist. We've got to be able to detach from that, and make no conclusions. We can't afford to do that because we just don't have all the facts, and not everybody is tuned in. In fact, most people are not tuned into their intuition to go, that doesn't feel right.
Correctamundo.
That's it. Yeah.
And then people feed on each other. Watching that, I felt sick to my stomach, both of them. I was like, oh my God, we're never going to get past this. How are we ever going to ascend, and get into the Galactic Federation or whatever if this is what most of us are like? So the first thing I did when I said, you know what, that clunked my energy big time. I need to get back to zinging. And I said, okay, I'm just going to, come on, heart. So I put my hands over my heart, just paid attention to my heartbeat. And this is your first number one hint. A really quick tip you can do. Focus your attention on your heart and your heartbeat. One thing to keep in mind is that when you're thinking about things with this, you've got polarity, left brain, right brain. Here is a unified source, right? So hands over heart, just feeling the heartbeat, feeling a moment of gratitude for your heart 24/7. It, for at least most of the time, it keeps on beating. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this right now. And it not only pumps blood and oxygen and all that other stuff, but it also is a fabulous pumper of love energy. And you'll feel that. And just if you just take a few minutes a day on your drive home, just take a minute. You don't have to close your eyes and totally go into it. But I notice it just shifts. Like, breathing slows down, the shoulders drop. And it's not because you're fighting against your brain. It's just putting your focus here, and what you put your awareness to grows. And it's as simple as that. If everybody around the world, can you imagine if everybody around the world just did that for 2 minutes, 3 times a day? I think it would change the world. Yeah.
Totally different. Yeah. That's a lovely thing too, a lovely tip. Because to pull back into yourself means that you're not involved and attached to all the chaos. There is a lot of chaos. Chaos is needed for change. Change does not happen without disruption. And it's always uncomfortable. My feeling is that it's not going to be worse. It's going to be better. We are moving into a better phase. This is all that I've been learning all these years, is that we've got to have a total breakdown of all these systems that no longer work. And when you start seeing people in front of you that are going nuts, literally going crazy, they've got this look on their face, got the big eyes thing going on, you've just got to, you can't stop that, I don't think. What do you reckon, Sarah? You can't really stop them from doing that unless you can sort of put the mirror up and say, look at yourself. This is not you.
Once again, I think you can't stop them because stopping them is putting energy into the problem.
It's resistance again.
No, stop doing that.
Yeah, they'll push against it again.
Yeah, and just, can we stop here for a minute? Maybe just, stop talking and just take a couple of breaths.
Yeah, I think from the coaching side of things, the kind of question you pop in there or the comment would be, I noticed this about you. So it's nothing about what they're talking about. You're not agreeing with them. You're not disagreeing, which of course will push the fight further. It's going, gee, you look really worked up right now. Are you okay? Do you need a drink of water? This is really upsetting you. Is that affecting the rest of your life? Is that giving you any pain in your body? And if you just stop the whole narrative and the fight and stop and go, maybe this is not the best way to handle it, right? I'm not trying to solve the issue that you're talking about, but maybe you need to look at it from a different way. That's my tip. That's what I put in.
That's sensible. So the other part of it is our mind. Remember that polarized thing up there? It attaches meaning to events. Events on their own do not have meaning. Two people can look at the same something happening and have completely different meanings about what that event meant. What I will do with myself is go, well, here's this that's happening. There's 3 things. Something is existing here. My emotions are feeling this, and my mind is attached to this meaning. So you're separating those out because when we keep the meaning attached into it, that's what causes this to go dee, 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 and gets you in the fight and gets the hormones going and stuff like that. What is your mind's meaning? Somebody, let's say, oh, my boss is just being an asshole today. I'm just so pissed. I need some time to talk about it. Okay, so what meaning have you attached to that? I get that you're angry. I feel the anger. Got it. What's the meaning you have attached to it? And then you get to, well, he just doesn't respect me, and I'm afraid he's going to lose my job, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, so you're having anger, and that's the meaning you have on it. I get it. That meaning may not be true, That may not be the truth of it. Byron Katie wrote that book. Yeah. Loving What Is. Have you read that one?
No.
Byron Katie, Byronkatie, Loving What Is. Interesting book, where she lays out a process where, oh God, it's been so long since I read it, but the person will say they have a belief. Let's say my spouse is supposed to treat me better. They need to treat me better.
Mm-hmm.
They should. And they'll say, well, is that true? Are you sure that's true? Well, of course it's true. They should treat me better. How do you know that's true? Or what if that wasn't true? How would you feel if you didn't have that belief that your spouse should treat you XYZ way? And the people go, I guess we wouldn't fight as much then because I wouldn't be on him to treat me better. And, it's just that moment.
It breaks it all down, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
I think I have read some of Byron's stuff, and to get partway through the process is totally confusing. It doesn't seem rational.
Okay, so you have this belief, this thought, this meaning, and it's making you feel this way.
Yeah.
What if you didn't have that particular belief or meaning? How would you feel? And do you think you might like to, which way would you rather feel?
Yeah. I think one of the processes I watched of her do that with somebody is eventually they got round to the fact that they were not treating themselves really well. So the husband who was not treating them well was simply reflecting their own...
That mirror.
Yeah, the internal of what's going on. So whenever somebody complains, not being treated well, that it's because they don't have the self-esteem anyway. And once they start to go, actually, I'm worth just as much as anybody else, which is not asking a lot. It's not like I have to be special, You just have to be as worth as much as anybody else. And then, the minute they step that up, people don't treat them badly so much anymore. Or the ones that do, when they look at that, then they can go, oh, that's my boss having a bad day. Oh, that's my husband. He's worried about finances that he can't provide for me, and he wants to be the man who brings home the bacon. And then the compassion kicks in. When next time somebody throws it at you and you're not reacting with that low self-esteem thing, then you can go, oh, that's their problem. I get it. It's totally different. So it dismantles the whole fight.
Those two videos I told you about, that's all the opposite of dismantling the fight. Those are people that just are so enraged. And they're both probably really amazing, loving people who are great with their friends. But this thing that's going on here has got them turned into these little monsters. I can tell you there's a whole lot going on. I mean, even if we just look at the thing with the Covington High School kids and the Native American, the reactions were huge all across the board, or both sides of the board, over reactions.
But, it's a piece of the puzzle. It's not... Does it affect me personally? Not really. So do I need to have a huge, massive opinion and fight my friends and my colleagues or perfect strangers? Pick a fight with them over it?
Something's gone on. It's a transformation of the planet. I think the conflict that we're seeing in the world right now has to happen for some reason, or it wouldn't be happening. And maybe the only reason it's happening is to help people to have an opportunity to go, okay, that's gotten so crazy, I'm not going to play with it anymore. To pop out of that reality. When it's just two people having a mild disagreement, yeah, you can get in with that. But when it gets as nuts as it's becoming, I'm out of there. So that's a possibility.
The activist side of things is interesting as well. I was talking to someone earlier about the yellow vest protests and how they started in France, they've stirred up, they went to Malaysia, they've ended up in other parts of Europe, they're here in Australia actively protesting all the time now, even though the media will never seem to report on it.
They're in the US too.
Yeah, so when you get to the point where you've got revolution, where you get biggest numbers swelling to the point of revolution, you get that expectation, well, you should put on your yellow vest and get out there. You should. And you'll get people around you, if it ended up swelling to that big, that the impression is that you're not allowed to detach and step away and go, I don't want to play with it. And that being peaceful is active. It is actually making a difference, isn't it? It's not being complacent, right? Well, there's got to be some difference here between being complacent and picking a fight. There's got to be.
Well,
am I being too vague here?
Feel like they are doing something. I just remember there was a retirement community, and every Friday afternoon they'd come out in front to the big intersection by the high school. So when the parents would be driving with their kids by two schools, actually, and they'd hold up their no war signs, honk for peace. And I thought, they're not changing anything in the world, but they feel like they're doing something. And what we're talking about, that moment when you can get to that place of peace, or you want to call it fifth dimension, or whatever you want to call it, that the part where you're not attached into the polarity, that's doing something for the world.
It is.
I think.
Yeah.
And that's my job. I'm not in the white hats military. I'm not in politics. If you really do want to change the world,
Be it.
follow these tips. Go to your heart. Another one is just so simple. It's just a breathing technique that actually switches your system from sympathetic, fight or flight, to parasympathetic, which is digest and rest. So the way you do that most simply is by breathing in and then taking more time to exhale than the inhale. You can purse your lips together, so you're actually having to put a little bit of a pressure through there to help you slow it down. It works. I was in a situation getting IV medication in a hospital. That's a long story we're not going to get into. And it was...
We have comparable stories with that, though, right?
Yeah. It was crazy. It was overfilled. They didn't have room for people. People were waiting in halls down there. They had somebody from the prison who was getting some type of chemotherapy or something. So there's prisoners, and I'm sitting here, and I couldn't. It's like so much noise, and the nurses are running around, and they're going, "We don't have time. What are we going to do this?" You know?
Oh no, poor nurses. They're shortening their lives.
Right?
Good grief.
Right. And luckily, this hospital provides massage. They hire people to come around and massage their patients. So this woman came in and was rubbing my shoulders, and she just said, just do this breathing and don't think about what it is. Just breathe that way for a little bit. And I did, and the shoulder massage didn't hurt. But all of a sudden, it felt like, instead of me being hyper vigilant because there was so much going on, it was like a bubble expanded out around me. And all of this chaos and intense emotion and physical activity pushed away from me. That worked.
That worked.
Thank you, because I was stressing out.
Yeah.
So, and doing that at the same time you have your hand over your heart can't hurt.
Yeah, keeping out of the chaos. I think what you said about the white hats and the military and all the rest is so spot on. You know, where there's so many huge problems in the world that we feel like we're helpless, that we can't do anything about it. And yet, if the butterfly effect is true, then everything we do within our own little life makes a massive difference, not just to this planet, apparently, but it continues to ripple out to infinity. If you can get yourself into that calm state of mind, you can think really clearly, you can actually react much faster, but with a wise decision when you're in that state of mind. That's how martial arts work.
And of course, the opposite of that state of mind is where your body and your mind and your emotional place goes when you're in this position on your phone.
Oh, I couldn't see what you're doing. Yeah,
I
bent
I
over.
suddenly realized it's like yeah.
Where are you?
This posture. Hello. This posture makes you unempowered.
Yes.
And so that when you get into a stressful situation, you are less able to react in the appropriate way. If you're taking a test, you can't remember the answers you're supposed to come up with. There's a lot of ways to counteract the polarity going on around us. So go just one more time. This posture. I've just won a marathon. Woo!
Yay! It feels good.
Yeah. That posture will counteract that. Because one of the reasons people get so desperate and they want to make a change, they want to do something, is because they feel powerless. So the more people who are powerful,
don't poke someone in the eye when you're doing it. Oh, sorry. Or even Wonder Woman, right? Hands on hips. Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said one doorman.
No,
I'm like,
no.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder
Yeah.
Woman.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know the one doorman pose.
Yeah.
So do you have any other hints, just suggestions for people
I think we've
that
got enough in
work
there.
for you?
I think we've got enough in there. Keeping centered. Come back to that vision of whatever's out in the stars, all the lovely stuff that's in the stars, it funnels through the body down. Be the vessel. Let it funnel right down into the center of the earth, and then allow all the yummy, good thank yous and gratitude come back from the earth, back up through your feet, up through your spine, and back out to the stars.
Shaboom.
Yeah, very simple. We all talk about it. It's the same kind of thing over and over again, but yet we need to be reminded over and over again. Come back to that spot. Don't
That's
let
what's
the
hard.
brain. Yeah.
The polarity drama is addicting.
And it's in your face all the time.
You know, reality TV, Real Housewives, yeah, not conflict, but they're rich.
Got to give that one up. Yeah. Come back to comparing yourself with people who are rich will never, ever make you happy.
Well, that's probably the point of view of why they produced that show, you know, lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Yeah, make people want more stuff that they need. Just get out there and get your feet on the ground. It's a bit tricky in Chicago at the moment to get your feet on the ground. I understand that. But
oh my gosh.
That weather, holy crap.
I know. Evidently, it's not breaking records everywhere, but pretty darn close. And, my sister lives in Washington, D.C., and it's down to 8 or 10 degrees Fahrenheit. What was that in Celsius?
Oh, about negative 13.
Negative 13, that was right.
Yeah. So yeah. And yet, if this weather adjusting technology has been around for such a long time, why don't they go and fix it? Surely, if you've got technology that can alter things, that can make wind or rain or no rain, like drought, if you've got the technology that can do that, surely you could make it more mild.
I know about the drought. I live in California.
Yeah, we're in Australia. We have the same thing.
Or if you're talking about weather on the planet, the sun, more studies nowadays are finding that what's going on in the sun affects our weather too. But, the sun is probably more powerful than the cabal.
More than the technology, yeah. And you can tell things are different now, right? When we were kids, when we drew a picture of a house outside, you'd have a house and yellow sun. But you look at it now, it's definitely white. It's not yellow anymore. And you'll come out every now and then, you'll get a step up, right? You'll come outside and you'll go, that's unusually bright. And then your eyes must, I'm assuming, get used to it. And it goes step up, step up, step up. So people from the 1950s would be totally blind if they were put into today's time, because it is so much lighter now than it was in the 1950s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, I did an intuitive thing. Somebody asked me a question, and when I'm talking to clients on a webinar or whatever, and they ask me a question, then the answer usually comes. And they were how are we different than people 500 years ago? If we were to take who we are now and plop into 500 years ago, we terrify them because we're these bright, shiny things. There's so much light. They may not even see us. How cool is that?
Wow.
We are changing constantly. I know our bodies are way different than theirs were.
Wow.
Exciting.
Because we keep talking about these new times is that we're moving to a crystalline body, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? Really? What does it mean? And we're not see-through. I can still, I have a front and a back to my hand. I can't see through it. I don't quite understand what that means, but it's something to do with the light, isn't it?
Well, when you're in a density or a dimension, you perceive it. But we don't perceive the higher ones. So there's, invisible beings we can't perceive the same way that back 500 years ago, those denser beings may not even have been able to see us. We might have been invisible. We're not invisible to ourselves because that's where we are living.
That makes sense.
Kind of cool, huh?
Yeah. So we're here. I mean, we're all meant to be in 5D already now.
We're here.
We're just not using our skills.
Right. we're not accessing that. We have the overlap of 3D and 5D. I always have this image of the old Earth and the new Earth overlapping. And we have a potential to be living in the new Earth all the time. How do you do that? Well, let's see. Let's step back from polarity, feel your heart, expand that magnetic field. Just how do you do that? Just imagine it and put your
Yeah.
focus on it. It expands out. It's that simple. So you can be living on the new Earth now.
Love it. I'm just thinking next week, let's have a talk about superhuman powers and things like that.
Ooh, that's fun.
Wouldn't
That's
it be fun?
That's fun.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do
I
that
dreamt
next week.
just the other night that I was teaching people how to fly again. I used to do that all the time. It was so much fun. Good one.
Okay.
All right. So catch us next time. We're going to be talking about superhuman powers.
Woohoo. Okay.